A fantastic start. And we'll see how things do shake out here for Joe, number 3 on our Season 4 leaderboard. He's headed to the Players' Championship, so congratulations to him. And maybe Gerry Thompson will be as well, as he's off to a great start here this weekend in Las Vegas. Joe gonna just play Polluted Delta and pass the turn back over to Gerry. Gerry's gonna sacrifice his Polluted Delta right away, get a land out of his deck, and we're gonna see a bit of this type of action, which is, I'm just gonna crack my fetch line, get this stuff over with.
Yes, Gerry is aware that time is going to be an issue. The nature of the matchup makes it that way. Joe is also not the fastest player. So I think that Gerry's going to be very active in shortcutting through some of these fetch lane operations.
You just got to get the game over with. There's nothing else to be said. Soulfire Grandmaster here from Gerry. Flooded Trance going to search up a basic plains. And it looks like Joe's going to figure out what lands he wants to fetch. And I've been talking to Gerry a bit this weekend, and he's been telling his opponents, especially in Standard, hey, don't have a lot of time for the shuffling. Don't have a lot of time for the fetching. If we want to finish 3 games, which we obviously do because draws are not something I'm interested in, neither are you. We got to crack, we got to search, all that stuff. So let's get a move on. Politely, of course. But I remember that was also a thing that took place many moons ago in the Callblade era, especially when the Callblade deck had the Splinter Twin combo built into it. Those games would take, the mirror would take a long time because you're always posturing, and if you make a mistake, you just die to the combo.
Yes.
And so there's a PTQ I remember very vividly. Zane Begg in Seattle would sit down across from his phone. He would say, hey, not trying to be a jerk, I'm just saying, we got to play quick. If you play slow, I'm going to call a judge, and I expect you to do the same to me. And he ended up winning that PTQ, no draws.
The more and more card advantage goes into the decks, the more and more the match plays like chess and less like Magic. So it's going to go on for a long time. There's a lot of information to consider because you're working with a lot of information the whole time. And also just ensuring that the fetch land operation stuff, the battle land operation stuff happens quickly. It's all part of being able to finish a 3-game match inside of 50 minutes.
Polluted Delta the land here for Joe. Looks like he's going to have an answer to that Soulfire Grandmaster. It's going to be a Crackling Doom. So now Gerry will draw.
I think Joe needs to get a swamp to be able to cast it.
Yep.
So
black from the Swamp, red from the Smoldering Marsh, and white from the Canopy Vista. For Thompson, it's a Bloodstained Mire. What comes next here for Gerry? We know it's not Mantis Rider. It could be Tasigur, though. Very slow turn here for Gerry.
Well, even setting aside the fetch land, battle land stuff we're talking about, the games are hard to play.
Yeah.
And they go on for a long time in terms of number of turns. So
he's going to delve away the lands. They're going to leave Soulfire Grandmaster, of course, in the graveyard for Ojutai's command. Search up a basic mountain. And I imagine at some point we are going to see some Steam Magic from these 2 players, especially if we go to a 3rd game. Almost left without a choice. Lossett did miss his land, so we're going to head back over to Thompson. He's going to attack for 4 to start.
So forgive me when I said this is going to take a long time.
This game might be quick. Jace here for Gerry. It looks like he missed his land too. There's complete disregard. That'll take care of Jace. Back over to Lossett we go. Does he find land number 4? Looks like the answer is no. So Thompson will just untap and take a draw. He didn't find land number 4 either, but he found a Dispel, which could be very useful here.
Yeah, I mean, he might have a route here of just protecting Tasigur with with Dispels rather, and winning the game in short order.
Lossett, no blue mana, can't even cast a Jace. Here comes Tasigur again. Lossett's going to fall down to 5. Thompson does have a copy of Painful Truths, but he's just going to pass the turn back and leave Dispel up. Lossett doesn't look like he drew a land. Looks like he drew a copy of Kolaghan's command.
And now with the hit next turn, knocking Lossett to 1, even a fetch land off the top does not allow him to get to land number 4.
And that deck plays a lot of those. Joe going to discard a complete disregard, pass the turn back over to Thompson. Here's an attack, puts you down to 1. Here's a Crackling Doom, and hey, there you go. Look at that.
5 minutes.
Unbelievable. Gerry's got a little smile. He can't believe it either. So Gerry Thompson's going to win game number 1 here over Joe Lossett. Jeskai Black very quickly up a game over 5-color Bring to Light, which means we get to spend some time with the sideboards here for each player. And we will take a look at Joe Lossett's sideboard with 4 Surge of Righteousness, 2 Hallowed Moonlight, 2 Radiant Flames, 2 Painful Truths, a Negate, a Dispel, an Infinite Obliteration, an Anaphens of the Foremost, and a Talent of the Telepath.
I think Talent of the Telepath, Dispel, Negate, and Painful Truths are all well situated for this matchup.
the other side of things here for Gerry, 3 Ration Clerics, 3 Radiant Flames, 3 Negates, 2 Monastery Mentors, an Ob Nixilis Reignited, a Dispel, a Roast, and a Painful Truths.
Another copy of Painful Truths, another copy of Dispel. Another Roast as Lossett is playing with Siege Rhino. I think Ob Nixilis, Monastery Mentor, and Negate are all great for this matchup too. So I think that package that you see of Negate, Monastery Mentor, Ob Nixilis, Dispel, and Painful Truths, very common for Thompson to bring in any sort of control matchup. The Ration Clerics and Radiant Flames are for beatdown decks. The fact that Lossett's deck happens to play Siege Rhino means that Roast will come in as well.
Well, there are the options there for both players. And game number 2 going to be underway here in just a moment, but we're going to talk about your favorite promotion. I know that. Grizzly Brand, Reindeer, Magus of the Moo. How can you not love game night?
I do enjoy a good animal pun, and we have a new one every month through Game Night, StarCityGames.com. And head over to the website at StarCityGames.com/Game Night for more information, or contact your Star City Games in-store play representative. Every month we send out a new kit with pins and foils. Stores run Game Night any day of the week they want, any format they want. Just get players into the store on a regular basis for some fun and friendly Magic. December, you're playing for the Reindeer right now. January, coming down the pipeline, we got Grizzly Brand. The February kit also announced Magus of the Moo. So again, head over to StarCityGames.com/Game Night. Find the Game Night closest to you. Canadian store owners, if you have not brought Game Night to your store because of the shipping rates, we have changed the shipping rates. We are now just charging U.S. domestic shipping. So if you haven't brought this program to your store because of the shipping rates, again, head over to StarCityGames.com/Game Night for more information, or contact your Star City Games in-store play representative.
Gerry Thompson currently up a game, and he is sideboarding, as is Joe Lossett. For Thompson, he is 9-1 right now, looking to add another invitational top 8 on the resume. And before Tom Ross went back-to-back, Gerry was really the big star in the Open Series with his 6 invitational top 8s with 2 wins in 2010 in Richmond and Season 1 in 2013. 18 Open Series top 8s with 5 wins. His good friend Todd Anderson holds the record with 26 Open Series top 8s. Approach to our top 8 for Gerry, 9 GP top 8s with 2 wins as well. His Magic resume is a pretty deep one.
And this resume exists in spite of Gerry having to take a couple years off of competitive Magic while he was working as a developer for Magic R&D. So it's even more impressive in light of the fact that Gerry wasn't able to play the whole time.
Looks like he's maybe found his groove again.
It's just a matter of time.
Yeah.
I know that Thompson loved to work. He loved working in game design, loved working on Magic. But it's very hard to do that job if you aren't ready to walk away from the game.
Yep.
You don't get to play competitively anymore. Those days are behind you. And I think for Thompson, producing content and playing Magic competitively was too big of a lure in spite of really enjoying the work, getting to be around smart people who love Magic all day long, playing games of Magic. He needs this kind of environment. It needs to be the tournament setting for him to be really satisfied with how Magic is a part of his life.
Yeah, I mean, we see him in the booth sometimes on the Open Series, and for me, it's just, Gerry is someone I've known for a very long time, and he is just a Magic player, man. He just likes to get out in game and go to a Grand Prix, go out to an Open Series, an SCG Tour event, what have you, and he just wants to sit down at the tables, cast some spells.
Something that's always really surprised me about Thompson, more than anyone else, he knows everyone. If, you know, there's a person, oh, I played this person last round, they look sort of familiar, we played a match, Thompson will have at the tip of his tongue, oh yeah, that person top 16 GP blah 2 years ago with such and such deck.
Yeah.
He knows everyone's resume.
Yeah, it's actually pretty insane. He knows everyone, not only in real life, but on Magic Online, too.
Yes.
He knows most accounts and everyone there, too, because he spends a lot of time on the program playing and testing and brewing from the decks he builds in his notebook, the famous or infamous notebook, as it were. But another top 8 could be on the way here for Gerry, and I know, so this is a time where I can tell he's very comfortable, I think, with his 2 decks that he has this weekend, because when Gerry slices and dices away through a tournament, you can tell that he is really zoned in and comfortable with what he's playing. There's no shakiness, and to see him go 4-0 through the first portion of Standard with Jeskai Black, and then the Grixis deck that he's playing in Modern, which he's been working on for a very long time, he's in great shape this weekend.
And this deck in particular has so much play to it.
Yeah.
I think it really rewards familiarity with the format, familiarity with your own deck, how the matchups play out, and Thompson clearly knows his way around it.
But it's no slouch on the other side of the table here in Joe Lossett. Again, number 3 on our Season 4 leaderboard. He's going back to the Players' Championship, 2nd year in a row for Joe. Coming off of a top 4 last weekend in Denver to solidify his spot to the Players' Championship. It's funny because, of course, we always think of Joe as a legacy player, but he's got 4 Standard Open wins and a lot of Standard Open top 8s. So he can do it across all formats. Joe's got a Jace here on turn number 2. You saw Thompson with a Mystic Monastery, now a Shambling Vent. You'd wonder if he's got a Fiery Impulse. It looks like the answer is no, so the set is untapping with Vryn's Prodigy.
curious how many shock effects Thompson has left in his deck. He is bringing more removal, and the roast can kill a Jace as well, so I would suspect he's gotten away from it a little bit, but not entirely.
Windswiped Heath here for Joe.
5 shocks in the main deck, 4 copies of Fire Impulse, 1 copy of Wild Slash. I would guess probably 3 of those 5 cards are left in his deck right now.
And it looks like it might be a Nissa here for Joe, and it is. Basic Forest on the way. And now we'll head back over to Gerry T. I'm out in the draw.
And because there's so much card advantage in both of these decks, I think the easiest way to lose is just to fall behind early on. Typically in these kind of matchups, your opponent plays some stuff on the board, you take some hits, but then you're the one drawing cards, and if you can stabilize the board, you're really far ahead. That's not really the case in this kind of matchup because everything Lossett plays is also a 2-for-1, including that Nissa.
Kolaghan's Command. Going to be killing Jace, and I believe making Joe discard a card. So Joe's going to activate the Jace. 3rd card going to go to the graveyard, and Jace will likely be the 4th one.
Imagine it this way. When Howling Mind's in play, the most important thing is to be mana efficient. You just want to be casting stuff. Both of these players kind of have Howling Mind in play the whole time because of how many cards they look at.
Force is the discard. Jace will bite the dust. And Lossett will have to discard Nobzon Charm.
That also says a lot. Lossett just got hit by a 2-for-1, Kolaghan's Command killing a Jace and forcing him to discard. The card he discarded was a castable Read the Bones.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of this stuff floating around in the games.
It looks like they're asking Joe to replace the Jace that he had in the graveyard with the actual flip card, so problem solved. We're moving on. Turn 4 here for Lossett. Nissa going to come into the red zone. Thompson going to fall down to 18, get the easy part out of the way. There's a land. It's a Sunken Hollow. Now pass the turn back over to Thompson. Thompson will draw. Roast the draw. You mentioned you thought that would come in. Takes care of Siege Rhino along with a lot of Joe's other creatures.
Joe's got plenty of creatures on the ground. Roast gets a lot of play because of how good it is against Siege Rhino, but Thompson's just in the market for any sort of removal spell.
Tassiger is here. They put a clock on Joe last game. He's going to try to do so again. And you saw Joe discard Nobzon Charm, which is a pretty clean answer to the 4-5. So in a moment, we will head back Joe Lossett's way.
I believe Talent of the Telepath is in Joe's hand. I thought it would be coming in this matchup.
I can only hope. Joe does have another Nobzon Charm in his hand. I'm curious to see how he wants to use it. Does he want to use it to kill Tasker? Or are we looking to get a little deeper into the deck?
Well, he can. The safe play is just kill it. The greedier play is to draw 2 cards and hope that Talent of the Telepath finds you an answer to the Tassiker. Because there isn't a whole lot for Joe to do with that card if Thompson doesn't have a creature in play. Because so much of Thompson's spells are removal spells.
You're on the Talent of the Telepath train, aren't you? Big fan. There's a lot of upside here. Right now, it's just a Lumbering Falls, but I'm looking forward to the Talent. I want to see it happen. Thompson going to get to untap with the Tassiger. See how he wants to use it. He'll start by playing a Bloodstained Mire.
And this has got to give Thompson some pause, because Lossett could have simply killed the Tasker with the Nobzon Charm, elected not to. It looks like the answer is Surge of Righteousness.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm a little surprised that this card came in, because it is just generally pretty poor against Thompson's deck. But this is a good spot for it.
You can tell Thompson didn't see it coming.
Yeah. Well, Thompson had to know something was up because Lossett drew 2 with Nobzon Charm instead of killing the Tasker and then passed. So most likely he has some removal spell. I don't think that one was necessarily on the radar, but I think Thompson knew that that Tassiger was not long for this world.
Looks like it might be time here for Ob Nixilis. And there is the black planeswalker. We'll see if this resolves. Instead, I'll take a look at the grip. Doesn't look like much going on. Thompson going to pay a life, draw a card.
And I love going up in this spot. I think a lot of people would have the instinct of killing Nissa, but with Lossett having a Lumbering Falls in play, if he goes down, then the Lumbering Falls finishes off. This way, even if Lossett commits his entire turn to attacking Ob Nixilis, that's only 5 points of damage. Thompson gets to untap, draw yet another card, and respond to the board. This puts a lot more pressure on Lossett than if he simply used the minus effect and killed Nissa.
Well, is it time to get talented just yet? I think that's the question.
Looks like Lossett is flooding out pretty badly right now. I do not see a lot of spells in his hand.
He's going to sacrifice a Wooded Foothills. Get a Cinderglade. He's going to need some help to get rid of this powerful planeswalker. So let's see what comes next. Lumbering Falls plus Nissa, gonna bring Ob Nixilis down to 1. Just wants to check that thing as much as possible.
Yeah, I think that Lossett needs to make some effort here and just hope that Thompson can't kill both the Nissa and the Lumbering Falls next turn and get Ob Nixilis off the table. Because left unchecked, this card is actually Howling Mine, plus Murder rolled in, and if Thompson ever gets the ultimate, that's gonna be a game-winning play in a matchup this slow.
It's a Bloodstained Mire. Now there's a Rose to take care of Nissa. Now we're going to head back Gerry's way. Now this turn for Joe, firing Lumbering Falls is, for me, a little too risky.
Well, it depends what the alternative play is, because allowing Gerry to untap and draw yet another card with Ob Nixilis is also pretty risky. And if the card you're playing around is Crackling Doom, if you don't have another creature in your hand, there may be no route to play around it. You can't really wait for a negate or a dispel, because Thompson's going to accrue an enormous advantage, and if you wait for 2 turns, then Ob Nixilis is up to 4 loyalty, and 1 attack doesn't even finish it off anyway. So Lossett's hand might be forced, even though I agree with you. I don't feel comfortable in Lossett's position making an attack. He may have no choice, especially if his hand is just a bunch of lands. I'm not sure what other route he really has.
Well, all he's going to do is pass the turn back. Thompson's going to crack a fetch land. Lossett is going to play Salumgar's Command. All right.
Okay. This Ob Nixilis still represents a huge win here for Thompson.
Yep. I mean, he got a lot of work done.
Drew 2 cards, ate up a whole turn of attacks, and then got a Slumgar's Command. A fine use of 5 mana.
Yeah. You just want to, in this kind of matchup, keep making exchanges like that.
Yep.
That's kind of the plan here.
And this is also another spot where the Dig Through Time comes in. With Thompson drawing a lot of cards off the top of his deck, there is a risk that he just floods out. So the selection from Dig Through Time is really valuable if he can get there.
Thompson with a Shambling Vent, going to pass the turn back. Lossett's going to sacrifice a Polluted Delta here. Going to get a land out of his deck as we're working our way pretty deep into the mid game, almost to the late game here. Lossett will draw. You mentioned that he is flooding out a touch here. And again, the thing I'm most curious about is how is he going to go about using Talon the Telepath? He's had it in his hand for some time now. I don't think he has much of a reason to cash it in now. And the tricky part here, too, is just you have no idea what it's going to be.
Exactly. When the board's empty, it's really risky to fire off because there's just such a chance that it reveals a bunch of removal spells. You want to wait until Thompson has something in play.
Polluted Delta, pass the turn back. Both these players just a little draw-go action, trying to pick their spots. I think what one of them's looking for, though, is just a card drawing spell, looking to gas back up.
Well, right now, I would argue Thompson's gotten the better of it because he's accrued a much bigger advantage with Ob Nixilis than anything Joe has done so far. That could be changing, however.
All right.
Okay.
Making a move with the talent of the telepath. Gerry going to take a look. We will as well. Target opponent reveals the top 7 cards of his or her library. You may cast an instant or sorcery card from among them without paying its mana cost. Then that player puts the rest of the cards into his or her graveyard.
And right now, Lossett really hoping for things like Dig Through Time and Treasure Cruise. Those are the big hits.
Spell Mastery will let you do it again. Thompson going to sacrifice Polluted Delta. And Joe has Spell Mastery, so if he finds 2, he'll get to cast them both.
But again, it's questionable how much this really has to offer Lossett here. A lot of Thompson spells are removal spells and counter spells that are worth very little right now off the top. But there are some copies of Dig Through Time. Those are big hits.
Yep.
Stuff like Kolagon's command is excellent.
Ojutai's command.
Ojutai's command is excellent. The raw card advantage cards are very good hits for Lossett right now, but remains to be seen how much of that is really in Thompson's deck.
Painful Truths, not so much.
Not so much.
How do we do? Ojutai's command, Crackling Doom. Negate, Roast, Wild Slash, Negate, and a Bloodstained Mire.
Yep, so Lossett gets, I'm assuming here, an Ojutai's command to draw and get the Jace back, and a Crackling Doom to shock Thompson. Not a full whiff, but not great.
Looks like Ojutai's command's going to get back Jace, as you mentioned, and draw a card, and then Crackling Doom you. So those are the spells that'll be cast. Now, what's interesting about Telepath is that it does mill, but also, as we've seen with Joe's deck previously, you know, you can flashback with Jace, you can get it back with Den Protector. There's the ability for Joe to cast that card 3 or 4 times in the same game.
Proactive spells are very important for this deck because of Den Protector and Jace. That is one of the shortcomings of Jace is doesn't play that well with counter spells. Puts pressure on you to be sideboarding into cards you can just cast out of your graveyard. Talent Telepath definitely qualifies.
Fiery Impulse going to go after Jace. Joe is looking to protect. There's a Dispel. Thompson will play a Roast. There's Negate. Joe really, really, really wants this Jace to live.
Well, the Jace represents a Talent of the Telepath, which could represent a Dig Through Time or a Treasure Cruise or something. And what else is he doing with these counter spells? What's he waiting for?
Well, Crackling Doom was going to take care of it. There's a Mystic Monastery past the turn back. It took a couple spells there from Gerry to get the job done, but the Jace is gone. However, there are some big draws here available for Joe. We mentioned the card drawing aspect of his deck, Den Protector as well. Plains, not so much.
Yep, that is a spot where if Lossett finds one of his Ancestrals or a Den Protector, he can break the game wide open. But I think he drew just a Plains.
For now, it's going to be Lumbering Falls coming into the red zone. Thompson going to fall down to 7. And we're going to head back Gerry T's way. He'll take a draw here. Picked up a copy of Soulfire Grandmaster. Weird texture to this game so far.
Not a whole lot of gassing up. Really, only Thompson's Ob Nixilis represents a large accumulation of resources. And even though there's a lot of card advantage floating around in this matchup, both players haven't found a lot of it, and the first one to find one, I think, will break this game wide open.
Shambling Vent going to come across here for 2. And Thompson will just pass the turn back over to Lossett. Lossett will take a draw step. Flooded Strand. I'm just going to pass the turn back. Joe not comfortable activating Lumbering Falls again.
Well, also the race of Lumbering Falls v Shambling Vent is good for Shambling Vent. Shambling Vent essentially represents 4 points of damage in a damage race, assuming you don't really care if you're gaining or dealing, and Lumbering Falls is only worth 3.
Thompson with a Soulfire Grandmaster. Lossett's going to sacrifice the Polluted Delta. This game a little bit longer than the first one.
Yep, and this is more characteristic of the matchup also.
Agreed. Lossett with a Flooded Strand is the draw. Joe with his copy of Languish in hand. Might be thinking now is the time. It looks like the answer is yes.
And this is a problematic thing in the matchup right now. Lossett with a Languish in his deck. He also has a Radiant Flames that I saw as he was resolving that Polluted Delta. These are, and the Surge of Righteousness. He has a lot of cards that he can't necessarily cash in for even one card.
Soulfire Grandmaster is going to activate, and now away it will go. Lossett, play Flooded Strand. Here's Ojutai's command from Gerry. And that's going to happen with the buyback, thanks to the Soulfire Grandmaster. He'll get to draw a card as well, so that's a heck of a turn, negating the work the Languish did do.
And now an engine is online, and this is an edge that Thompson has that Lossett does not. Soulfire Grandmaster can also be just another source of card advantage when the game goes on for a very long time. And it's the type of thing where even if Lossett has a removal spell, it doesn't really matter.
Looks like Painful Truths on the way.
And now Thompson's really starting to get the engines going here.
Monastery Mentor among the cards that he has found. Mystic Monastery, Smoldering Marsh. Those are options as far as lands are concerned. It'll be the Tri-Land from Khans of Tarkir. Now we're going to go back to Joe. Siege Rhino the draw. There's a Rhino. This would bring Thompson down to 3 if it resolves.
Important for Lossett to try to do this before Thompson untaps too, because once Thompson has 8 mana at the ready, then he can simply rebuy Ojutai's command and dismiss this Rhino. This is a tough spot because, you know, Thompson does not want to give up on this Ojutai's command. It's worth a lot to him over a long game. But this Rhino entering play means that his life total is getting kind of low. So
it could be problematic. Now, Joe's deck doesn't have a ton of, direct damage. So you don't have to really worry about getting burned out so much. But, when you do go down to 3, it's always a concern.
Now you're in a place where something like a Rhino plus a counter spell over 2 draw steps might squeeze this game out.
Yep.
I think Thompson's got enough resources to work with where that isn't necessarily going to be a concern, but letting that Rhino resolve is not a no-brainer.
Lumbering Falls. Attacking for lethal. Now, that's unlikely that's going to be good, but Soulfire Grandmaster going to jump in front of Lumbering Falls. Then you're going to get the activation there of Soulfire Grandmaster. Here's Kolaghan's command. Looks like he's going to make Joe lose his last card and get back Tasigur. So, Thompson going to go up to 5. Looking to just grind him down. Gets to keep the Kolaghan's command, too.
Now he's got command, both commands, Ojutai and Kolaghan. He can play the Tasigur on the super cheap here very easily. And untap with, pass the turn rather, with a lot of resources.
There's Monastery Mentor. Here's Tasigur. Going to delve away quite a few cards, as you mentioned. It's going to be taking place on the cheap. Roast and Wild Slashes and Fiery Impulses down. Now we're going to go back over to Joe. He'll untap all those lands, 14-5 right now, as far as light totals are concerned. But Joe pretty behind on the board and cards. Treasure Cruise off the top might help.
Needed to be something like that. I don't think any individual card would matter that much for Joe right now, but 3 cards might add up to something.
He'll delve away quite a few. Does it resolve? It looks like it might.
I think Thompson is considering an utter end here on the Rhino in response.
Solve that problem. But it looks like Treasure Cruise will resolve. So a couple of cards drawn here for Joe Lossett. Cruise is done resolving. Looks like Bring the Light was found as well.
And you had to assume, if you're Joe, that if your Treasure Cruise was good, that your Bring to Light is also good here.
So now we'll see what Joe wants to do. He might be working his way back into this thing.
The thing is that Bring to Light is not great for him in terms of just raw card accumulation. The delved card drawers don't work. You can't get Painful Truths for any effect. And you can't really get Den Protector either. So Bring to Light is much better as a proactive play for Joe than as one if the game is just about raw card count.
Here is Bring the Light. Now Joe's got to figure out what he wants to get. He's looking at Crackling Doom. Might be thinking he needs a clean way to take care of Tassiger.
Crackling Doom's not shabby. I mean, it at least on the table looks like it opens up Siege Rhino to attack. And I don't think he's got anything better. I think that if Lossett had a card in his deck that would just allow him to draw some more cards, he would take that. But like I said, there's really nothing that qualifies.
Utter end here. Gonna allow Thompson to make a Monk token. Rhino down. We might see Kolagon's command next. There might be some interest in trying to make this Monastery Mentor into a 4-power creature. But maybe not.
I think the last card in Thompson's hand is Ojutai's command, and he's got to decide now, can I activate Tassiger, or do I need to hold this 4 mana up for a command? Looks like he's going the other way.
Yeah.
Because with Ojutai's command at the ready, Lossett can't really fire up the Lumbering Falls and make a productive attack because there's already one prowess trigger, so the Mentor is a 3/3. Ojutai's command can just be cast, so then it gets to a 4/4 and the Lumbering Falls is dead for no value.
There's a Canopy Vista. Now Lossett's trying to figure out what else he can do because he's still in some trouble here. Even though Thompson's at 3, feels like Lossett's like the one. Feels like Lossett's the one that's in trouble. He's just going to pass the turn back. All right. Thompson on top of those lands. Take a draw step. Flooded Strand. Not so much. Mystic Monastery, pass the turn back. One Treasure Cruise may have gotten Lossett right back in this game.
Yeah, they're in a bit of a holding pattern, and Lossett there with either Jace or Nissa in hand. Not particularly relevant because he doesn't want to cast either into the face of Ojutai's command. And he has a Kolagon's command was a little bit awkward.
Well, there is Kolagon's command. We'll see what modes he wants to select.
He knows that he can't really go after the Mentor because Thompson can simply cast a spell to trigger. But he can go some other routes here. I mean, he can, if he wants to, he can target the Monastery Mentor and just force the action on the Ojutai's command. The other route is do something like make you discard and shock you, get something out of my graveyard.
Looks like he's thinking about returning Nissa.
the other nice thing here is that it looks like Thompson is being sent down to 1 here. By doing this, also, obviously any threat is good. You cut off the fetch lands, and the Lumbering Falls is something that Thompson has to answer, and that's not the easiest card to answer.
Now, keep in mind, it's either an Ojidai's Command or a Kolaghan's Command in Gerry's hands. No guarantee it's Ojidai's Command. He might be trying to play around it.
No, I think there's still an Ojidai's Command left over from the rebuy several turns ago.
I mean, we don't see his hand, so there's potential that it is one of those. Yeah, okay, there's the Ojidai's Command going along with Flooded Strand. So there's O Command. Now, Joe drew a Dispel for the turn. So he's going to get to make a Monk. Gerry going to select the modes. I would be surprised if this doesn't get dispelled, however.
I mean, this seems as good of a target as any.
Yeah, it really does. Dispel will take care of that. So now Nissa is in. Doesn't appear to have a forest to search up.
He has 2 copies in his deck.
And now here's Jace. All right, so both Planeswalkers are in, even though they haven't flipped yet. So this makes for a big draw step for Gerry.
And Lossett,
Soulfire Grandmaster.
I mean, Lossett's graveyard at this point is lethal with Thompson at 1.
Yeah, good point. Well, Shambling Vent says, not just yet. Gonna come across with quite a few things here, which is Gerry. I like this attack a lot because he does not have a spell in his hand, but he's trying to rep one real hard.
Yes. Well, the Shambling Vent kind of needs to come in to get Thompson up to the point where a flashback Crackling Doom or Kolaghan's Command doesn't kill him. Once he's doing that, he might as well send in the Mentor as well, because Lossett only has 1 blocker, which is Lumbering Falls, that eats up. I think this attack means that Thompson is just representing that he drew something huge.
Yeah, he's going to pass the turn back. Huh.
I mean, he's leaving himself dead on board, and he had the opportunity to attack with the Shambling Vent. Lossett knows this. So this is this play from Thompson is saying, I drew something big, and there's a risk here if you go for the kill. That attack really only makes sense if it was...
That was activate Shambling Vent, no attack.
Yeah. I'm not even sure what the representation is necessarily, because Lossett's got so many workarounds right now. But it is I drew something big.
It really is. Well, okay. Well, there's Siege Rattle. That'll make it easy. No matter what you were bluffing right. Something, but this will make it very, very easy. So, Gerry, Thompson, and Joe Lossett are going to get ready here for game number 3. 5-color Bring to Light, Jeskai Black. They take a while to finish. You can see the time on the clock there. They're underneath 12 minutes. That second game took a very long time.
And that's even with one of the games finishing kind of on the house. I mean, it was a 5-minute affair, right? And we're still going to be up against the clock here.
Sideboard's available there for both players. Maybe they sideboard into some more aggressive packages. You know that Thompson has Monastery Mentor, Nixless in his deck. You have to imagine Dispel and Roast, Painful Truce are in there as well, along with some number of negates. For Joe, we saw Surge of Righteousness, don't know how many. Talon Telepath is in there. Painful Truce you have to imagine as well. You said you even saw Radiant Flames.
Yes, Lossett has more sweepers in his deck than I would have anticipated. He showed Surge of Righteousness, Radiant Flames, and Languish. All of which are, I think, on the low end of cards to keep in the deck in this matchup. That said, all of Thompson's creatures are very dangerous, and if Lossett feels like he has an edge, if he can keep the board clear of Jace, Soulfire Grandmaster, and Tassiger, then it's worth keeping in some mediocre cards to make sure he can always answer Thompson's threats.
Well, these players are going to shuffle up. You have to play a little bit of speed magic here. We anticipated that would be the case. And as they get ready to do so, you know that Players' Championship is next weekend. December 19th and 20th in Roanoke, Virginia. We know that, and we know a whole bunch of people that are qualified now. You can see everybody that is qualified except for one.
Yes, it's our Invitational champion, though if any of these players win the Invitational, and a couple of people like Joe Lossett right now definitely in contention to do just that, that slot passes down.
Correct.
So Eric Hawkins, not technically eliminated, had to spend the last 6 months rooting against these people, and now he needs one of them to pull through in a big way.
He sure does. You see the names and the faces there. Jacob Wilson, Jim Davis, Logan Mize, Tom Ross, Ali Antrazi, Kevin Jones, Alex Pistecki, Danny Jessup, Hunter Nance, Rudy Briska, Jonathan Borowski, Ross Merriam, Joe Lossett, Todd Anderson, and defending champion Brad Nelson. We got to figure out who number 16 is going to be. It could be Gerry Thompson. It could be Vidianto Wijaya. It could be Jeff Hogan. It could be a lot of people here in attendance in Las Vegas. That tournament's going to be a lot of fun next weekend.
It is.
No matter who that last person is. Last year's Players' Championship, a delight. This one looking better than the last one. These players going to get ready here for game number 3. TikTok does go the clock. They're both going to keep. Here we go.
And what's fascinating here is that this matchup has a lot of card advantage. It's very slow. Thompson in this matchup, and these kind of matchups historically, has been way more likely to take the draw than most people. The fact that he's willing to take the play is another indication of there's just a lot of card advantage floating around, and the early tempo is more valuable than getting the extra card.
Pluto Delta sacrifice here from Gerry. You saw Joe start off with a Lumbering Falls and a Pluto Delta of his own. It's a Smoldering Marsh here for Thompson. Both these decks can get aggressive draws depending on how the cards do line up. So it's possible for a Monastery Mentor to just spiral out of control. And that was the draw step there for Gerry. He'll play a Swamp, and now he'll play a Painful Truth. It's going to draw 3 cards, or at least try to. That'll work. Ob Nixilis among the cards that he's found.
I believe Thompson has to discard the hand size now.
There are worse fates. Yep, you're going to discard a Roast.
Because I know Divination on the play puts you at 7.
Yep. That means Roast on the play puts you at 8. Could have only drew 2 cards if you wanted.
3 -1's a lot better than 2.
Yeah, you're probably correct, yeah.
Selection's worth a lot. I mean, this is a deck that's willing to play Dig Through Time instead of Treasure Cruise, so I think you'll pay the life for a little bit more information, a little bit more selection.
Lossett going to play Nissa Forest on the way. Going to head back Thompson's way now. Flooded Strand in hand. He's going to sacrifice that. See what land he wants to get and what play he wants to make. Tassiger. Going to put Joe to the test right away. Painful Truth and Roast going to stay in the graveyard. Treasure Cruise the draw here for the set.
And you can see some shortcutting here, but Thompson fetching the land and putting the Flood Strand in his graveyard kind of as the last order of business.
Utter End will take care of Tassiger, and now here comes Nissa. And then we're going to head back over Gerry Thompson's way. We'll take a draw. Could be Ob Nixilis time.
Saw this line of play last game. I mean, the window's open for Ob Nixilis and plus, like last time. And Lossett just lost one of his copies of Utter End.
Makes it even more enticing. Gerry also looking at a copy of Salumgar's Command in hand, but there is Ob Nixilis. Going to go down to 2, take care of the Nissa, and basically what Gerry's saying is if you want to kill this, you're going to take your entire turn to do it.
The risk there, you know, by Thompson plussing is he falls to 11 from the Ob Nixilis trigger. And there's a Lumbering Falls in play, which is not the easiest card for him to remove. And last game, his life total ended up being relevant. I mean, the game ultimately ended because Thompson fell too low, and Lossett was able to finish off the game with a single spell.
Forest here for Joe. Lumbering Falls will not check the Ob Nixilis. Here's a Bring to Light. Kulagon's Command will take care of it. It looks like it's going to rebuy Nissa. We'll head back Thompson's way. Crackling Doom the draw. It's a card advantage war. That's what it's all about.
A lot of recursion, too.
Thompson looks like he missed the land. Lossett with a polluted Delta. Has a copy of Dispel in hand.
But does he have a big play to punch through? I mean, you can cast Nissa and threaten to land number 7 next turn. Are you willing to use a Dispel to try to win that fight, given how likely it is that Nissa dies to a second removal spell?
Painful Shrew is the play here. Slumgar's command. Counter and bounce. The Lumbering falls.
This feels like a fine use of Dispel to me. Thompson can't play black, so.
A second to draw 3 cards. Is Thompson trying to carve a hole here for something as he untaps those 5 lands? Picked up a Mystic Monastery.
Round 11. As a reminder, the next round is the last round of standards today.
He'll just play that past the turn back. Lossett will take a draw here. Both players have quite a few cards in hand. Joe having the better of it right now. There's a Flooded Strand. He'll just pass the turn back over to Thompson. Thompson will draw. Picked up another copy of Mystic Monastery. He'll play that. Dig Through Time in hand. Now here's Monastery Mentor. This is the kind of card that'll force something from Joe. Complete Disregard.
Now, not a bad removal spell to use there, as it's very unlikely Thompson has 2 spells to play over the top.
And if he does, I think you're happy with him tapping out.
Yeah.
Back to Thompson. Fiery Impulse to draw. Not exactly what the doctor ordered.
I feel like Lossett is ahead here. He's got more mana, more cards in hand, and another Treasure Cruise, but I'm really concerned that he just won't be able to get this game done in time.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be able to.
His deck's just not built to be able to win matchups like this consistently inside of 3 games. It's just a challenging thing for him to do. And this one we can effectively call 2 games because the first one ended so fast.
There's a basic Swamp. That second game was just a slow plotting affair. A lot of decisions to be made.
Yeah, and that's indicative of the way the games are going to play out, I think, especially post-board, where a lot of the lower impact cards are cut. People bring in more removal spells, more 2-for-1s, more what have you. It's going to look this way.
Looks like there might be some delving taking place here for Lossett.
Standard open players, then it's time. Active player finish your turn, then play 5 additional turns.
Thompson's going to play a Dig Through Time here in response to Treasure Cruise. Joe with the Slumgar's command. Looks like he's got some interesting countering and bouncing the Mystic Monastery. Discard pass turn back. Dispel the draw. Another big draw there for Joe. 1/8 a minute. Here's Nissa. Ochtai's command here to fight over that. Dispel. Dispel back. Negate. The Counterspell War. As Negate's going to go after Ochtai's command. Is won by Lossett. Land a flip? Nope, trigger on the stack. Smart play by Gerry.
Yep. I mean, Lossett's best shot at winning the game in time is just Nissa minus make an elemental. Hope that that's good.
Yep. There's the forest. Here's the treasure cruise again. Let's set off to delve away quite a few cards. And you see the clock running down to 2 to 1 and now to 0. It's extra turns. Well, that'll be turns 0, 2, and 4. This is turn 0, of course. Thompson will be turns 1, 3, and 5. I think we got a draw on the way, my friend.
I'd be real. I mean, I guess there's some sequence of rhinos and lumbering fall hits that could avoid this outcome, but it seems very unlikely to me.
Well, we'll see what the players can do in these last couple of turns. Lossett is gassed back up again. A couple of rhinos and knobs on charm there.
2 rhinos is, if you're trying to get this done in time.
Yep.
That's your route.
It's not impossible, just pretty hard. Thompson going to draw. Picked up a copy of Jace. Go along with the Kolagham's Command and a Crackling Doom. Here is Jace. Back over to Joe we go. Turn 2.
Can he punch these rhinos through? He picked up 2 of them.
I'll give him his best shot.
So the ideal scenario for this turn would be 2 rhinos plus a remove Jace. But I think he might be a mana short because I think his only removal spell for the Jace is Crackling Doom. You need 11 mana total for that.
There's the Rhino. It's in there. 16 and 9. Joe played land yet this turn?
I believe so, yeah. I think that's why I think that is why he's short.
Rhino number 2.
Not 100% on that, but pretty positive.
19 to 6. Pass. Crackling Doom. Let's make it 17 to 6. Rhino down. Thompson. Painful Shrews.
Probably not touching that one.
No, you don't think so? Jace activation. Dig through time to draw. Turn 3 of extra turns here. Thompson going to discard the Painful Shrews, flip the Jace. Jace will start at 5. We'll see where it goes.
Yeah, I suppose what Thompson can do, I think he picked up Dig Through Time. The safest play here is just a Crackling Doom straight away and see if that works. And if it doesn't, you can Dig Through Time and hope to find a cheap answer.
Well, there's your Crackling Doom. Another Rhino down. 15 to 6. Is there a way here for Joe to get it done?
So activate Lumbering Falls, put 2 commoners on it with Obzon Charm and Crackling Doom Thompson. How much mana is that whole sequence? That's 11, right?
4 activate, 1, 2, 3, 1. Yeah, it's 11.
That's the path I see.
That could do it.
Now Thompson has some redraws here because he can. He can Dig Through Time for a Dispel.
Yep.
So he has an out, but I think that's the way to get it done.
He's got negates too.
Well, he's only got 5 cards in his graveyard.
Okay,
so if he wants to dig, he needs. I think it has to be Dispel.
Yeah. Pretty important to make sure Joe has all necessary mana to do this, as far as colors are concerned.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He's got to organize this all right. Yeah.
Obzon Charm, Crackling Doom, animate your Lumbering Falls all in the same turn. It's not trivial from a colored mana position.
It
but
sure isn't.
I think that's the route.
It's Joe's last turn here. He's turn 4.
Also, I don't know if he has any lands to fetch left with his Flooded Strand. This has come up before.
Yes,
so
it has.
You know.
Canopy Vista.
And it costs Lossett nothing. It's not like he dies on the way back. So if he's got 7,
there's nothing to lose here.
Yeah, if he's got 7 points, then he can try to let it rip.
He's just got to make sure. You see the way he's reorganizing the mana. He's just got to make sure he has it all
Oh,
right.
yeah, he's got to be able to cast the 2 spells
Yeah.
also. This is not trivial. But
All right. Lumbering Falls. Let's go. Abzan Charmit. 2+2+2 +1/+1 counters.
And Thompson does have triple blue, so he can dig, tap the Smoldering Marsh, leave up a blue. So Dispel is still live to break this all up and get the drop.
And if you're Joe, you got to cast that Crackling Doom right now, because you don't want to give Gerry the chance to untap with all the mana. And again, what have you got to lose? It's this turn or no turn. Crackling Doom for the win. Here's Dig Through Time by Gerry. He's playing for a draw here, folks. Top 7, can he find Dispel? Four, 5, 6, 7. Negate is the card. That'll do it. Joe Lossett's going to win this match here over Gerry Thompson, 2-1 on his last turn of the match. 5-color Bring to Light going to take care of Jeskai Black, and for number 3 on our Season 4 leaderboard, he is 10-1 here and in great shape to top 8 another Invitational.
Yeah.